All right, well, in Mel Robbins fashion, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Howdy, y'all, and welcome to David's Saturday Night Sit Back. I'm David, your host, and almost 3 years ago I started this podcast having no idea what it was going to become. After the first 12 episodes came out, I was approached by a 17-year-old in the gym who told me that a year earlier he was so miserable that he tried to take his own life. He's alive, he's thriving, and he's in the military now, but through that interaction, I knew exactly what this podcast was going to become. I'm on a mission to find hidden gems in Austin, Texas, and give them a platform with one mandate: to tell personal stories that light the internal fire within you as you navigate the dark night of your story. My endgame for the podcast is that one day I have thousands of messages from people all over the world telling me how these stories gave them the courage to take their dreams, turn them into goals, and chase those goals until they become reality. That being said, if today's episode impacts you, email me your story to SitBackWithDavid@gmail.com. With all that in mind, let me introduce you to today's guest. Imagine waking up one day and realizing the life you're living isn't actually yours. Not because you chose wrong, but because somewhere along the way you stopped facing the things that hurt and started numbing them instead. You tell yourself you're fine. You build coping mechanisms, you survive, but deep down you know you're not becoming the man or woman you're supposed to be. So now you're standing at a crossroads, and one path is uncomfortable and certain and terrifying. But the other feels like slowly disappearing, and today's guest knows that feeling better than most. This is someone who in his early 20s was battling depression, numbing himself, questioning his value, and quietly asking the kind of questions a lot of men never say out loud. And then life hit him hard. A DUI, a breaking point, a moment where the gap between who he was and who he knew he could be became impossible to ignore. And instead of numbing it again, he answered the call. He rebuilt himself through fitness. He found purpose in community. And somewhere along the way, he didn't just change his own life. He started helping other people change theirs too. Because today, Braydon's isn't just a coach or competitor. He's someone who genuinely believes that a human soul on fire is one of the most powerful forces on this planet, and he lives like that every single day. He's helped build communities here in Austin. He's stepped into leadership through Men in the Arena, creating spaces where men can actually show up, be seen, and become something more. And whether he's on mic, in the gym, or in a room full of people, this is someone who feels called to bring people back together in a world that keeps pulling them apart. So today, we're not just talking about fitness, discipline, or success. We're talking about what it really means to stop running, face yourself, and become the person you know you're capable of being. Braydon, a.k.a. Coach Bray, a.k.a. Austin's own Minister of Culture, thank you for who you are, thank you for being here, and welcome to your episode on David's Saturday Night Sit Back.
Let's go. Come on now. That was money. That was worth it. Let's go. All right, that's all I needed.
There you go. Affirmations given. You
Yeah.
can have a great Saturday.
Yeah, we're back. I told you I came in a little tired. Now that's all I needed. Now we back in the game.
That did more than the coffee did. That's
yeah,
good.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah,
Hell
what's going through your head right now?
I mean, you spoke very beautifully around just the journey, and I think life, no matter what stage you are in life, it's always going to be a journey, and every journey is going to have a different player, a different devil that you got to face. So at the end of the day, it just comes down to how can you build strength around you, and through the form of community, through the form of standards that you set for yourself, through the form of strong relationships, to be able, different tools to be able to face that devil and continue to march forward. Because I've gone all this way, and I'm very proud of the man I am today, but things aren't still always shiny and bright and good. So at the end of the day, it's like knowing that that's always going to be a case at some level, and knowing that you can persevere because of all the other shit you've been through gets me going.
Excellent. Well, I figured what we'll do today is we'll sort of start at the end and then jump back into the past, and we'll tell your story today. How's that sound?
Sounds beautiful.
I'm going to hand you a list, and I want you to read this out loud to the audience.
Cool. Who am I? Two versions of me. Version 1, avoid discomfort, numb what I feel, stay where I'm familiar, don't speak up, wait until I'm ready. Version 2, face what's uncomfortable, sit in what I feel, put myself in new environments, say what needs to be said, act before I feel ready.
How's that list sit with you? Do you resonate with it at all?
Yeah, I see the two versions of me. One being the younger, I guess, novice, young adult trying to navigate the world and not understanding where my place in the world was. To version 2, being able to lean into all those qualities to be able to find the version of me that I'm proud of. At the end of the day, as I was just saying previously, like I'm human, so there's always going to be things like we're always pulled towards comfort at sometimes. We're always pulled towards wanting to numb. We're always pulled towards what's familiar. But the more that I'm able to step into version 2, the more I'm able and like do it more often, the more it gets easier to step into that version 2.
Why do you think we're pulled towards those things? Do you think we're pulled towards those things?
Yeah, I think.
I'll take that for you.
Yeah, appreciate it. There's the first thing I guess I'll share is just from like an energetic level. The body is designed to conserve energy. Like it wants the path of least resistance. It wants to be able to move through life and find the efficiencies and be able to adapt so it can live and thrive and be healthy. Now that can be misconstrued into like how the decisions and choices we make. It's easier to be lazy per se. There's also just like how we've evolved as a society. There's just more access to comfort than ever before. We're not fighting for food. We're not, fighting for land. At least in America, we have a lot of freedom. And that just puts us in a position to where it's a lot easier to go into that version 1. There's many layers to all that, but I'll share that for now.
Yeah. I think it. If you let me ask this: if I could teleport you right now to any day, any time, any year, where would you want to transport to?
Yeah, I'm someone that it's hard for me to. I just find the beauty of life. So like for me, it's like today. Like I've like put myself in a position where I just want to be able to make the most of every single day and squeeze all the juices out of a life. So I don't have any other like I'm not fixated on the past. I'm not prioritizing the future. Those are thoughts that can come in and move through me, but I've noticed for my own mental health, my own well-being, the more that I can just take things day by day and just consume my presence in the moment as much as possible, everything else in life is going to be fine and work out, and I'm going to be happy from that. But the more that I'm like thinking about, it's like the classic, high school thriving days to, college fraternity days. Like there's moments that were good, but there's moments that was a lot of bad there, a lot of negative. And then the future is not there. The future is being written day by day. But the more that I can be in the moment and embrace all the things that life can throw at me / set up my future by making the moment or making the most of today, that's where I want to live.
I asked because I've daydreamed a little bit about what it would have been like. I took this political science class in college, and we had a section on hunter-gatherers, and in sort of the opposite kind of world we live in today, what it would be like to wake up and all the men, we grab our fucking spears and we go out and we're looking for deer and other things to eat, and then while we're hunting, a lion attacks us and maybe someone in our tribe gets killed, and so then we're mourning that guy, and then we're going back to camp and we're building fires and skinning the animals and cooking the meat, and there's just something very serendipitous about having your life just be 1,000% in nature with no TV and no phones, and just it's not even about the lack of TV or phones. It's more of community. I love my friends. I love my fucking friends. And to think about a world where we just spend all day together, thriving, surviving, mourning, laughing, storytelling, maybe coming across another tribe that we hadn't met before and getting to know them. There's just something about those days where it's like, man, what a time that would have been to be alive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like the simplicities of life too. The more that tech and more all these other things that come into our world, the more complexities that come with that, and the more that I feel like energy investment of things that don't matter. When like things can be simple and it's just like, oh, I gotta show up today, I got to make sure we hunt and get some food, oh, I got to just check in and give good energy to the people in my tribe. And it's just like, it's simple. We just show up and we support each other, and we make sure that everyone gets fed and everyone goes to sleep at night and everyone feels protected. And I think that's inherently like a part of, especially as men, as that want to be the protectors, the providers, and like, and feel like that they're a part of something, belonging to something. And that's in the world that we're in today, is like, it's so easily to get pulled apart from that and not have that. And that's where a lot of the darkness and the things can come from, not having a sense of belonging to that, or within all that too, not have the feeling that you are the protector, the provider, and things of that nature, because that's not something that, you know, similar to those days, there was also rites of passages to becoming a man. Like you had to go, if you go and kill an animal to be in like that primal like energy, like that was something that was real. And like, that's something that, in the comforts of today, like men don't, and boys don't get exposed to that. And definitely not exposed. I mean, there's pros and cons to every generation. Like there's also, I would argue that during those times and over the last 1,000 years, like men were conditioned not to process emotions. I think more now, like I just mentioned before the podcast, I've cried multiple times watching different things. And like, I think that's real. I think men we're evolving to be more whole than ever, but also there's still the challenges. There's always challenges.
Yeah, it was interesting. I had a call with someone yesterday to lift the veil for the audience a little bit. Before anyone comes on the show, I ask them for access to talk with one of their friends, their spouse, their family member, whoever it is they want to give me. And a guy I talked to yesterday mentioned that one of the pivotal days in his friend's life was the day his parents got divorced. But then he said, you should talk to him about that because we're men, so I never asked him about it.
Yeah.
Dude, you've been his best friend for 20 years.
Yeah.
You've never asked him about his parents' divorce.
I mean, that's the conditioning. It's like, I mean, it's kind of like if you're not willing to do it, then you're not willing to ask it. Right. If that's not something that you're conditioned that you feel comfortable to doing, then it's like, oh, everyone's, and I see this all the time, like, and that's like kind of the conditioning with Men in the Arena, which is an organization that it's a nonprofit men's group, that like some of the, like the phrasing, the slogans is like leaders go first. It's like, there's this energetic thing where it's like people are waiting for someone else to take the first step. And it's something that's uncomfortable. That could be a hard conversation. That could be a hard, a presentation. That could be a hard initiative that you're promoting to your team. That could be a hard like workout, whatever the case. Like people are waiting for other people to go first. When as men, like the thing that we're trying to condition is go first, have the conversation, be curious, lead with that. And like that will in turn, and the more that you put that energy towards other people and you make that normal and that's the standard, it becomes the standard.
Yeah. What would your pitch be for why the audience should stick around for this episode?
My pitch? My pitch. Yeah, I mean, the things that we spoke to so far, I think it's important if you're feeling that, okay, here's the pitch. If you're feeling that you don't understand the world that you're living in and you don't understand how to find community, you don't understand how to navigate your emotions, you don't understand how to be the person that you want to be, I think the conversation's guiding towards some of those things. So I'm hoping that I can provide some level of insight to those things.
I agree.
Hell yeah.
And knowing where this conversation is I would also just tag on to that. Yeah, if you're searching for the answer to the question, who am I think we could help get you marginally closer today. Before we dive deep into things, let me ask you just sort of a quick icebreaker question. You went on a trip to Minnesota with 8 other guys. Talk to me about that trip. Sorry. I was told this was risky waters, and I said, well, if it's risky, I'm diving head first in, baby.
Yeah. It's one of the worst trips, but also one of it's a lot of learning moments. It was all men. So speaking of waters, risky waters, we went to Bounty Waters.
Sorry. He doesn't often distract me.
I
was not expecting to see that. I'm actually gonna take a picture
Yeah, I
of
think
him,
you have
and I'm
to.
gonna put this up on the YouTube version so you can see exactly what caused us to derail this entire conversation. Um, that was too good.
That is
Okay,
wild.
Minnesota trip. Sorry, Bray.
Yeah, you're good. That was necessary. Yeah, so Boundary Waters, Minnesota. This is a place in Minnesota that's super desolate. Like the journey to get there, flew into Minnesota City or whatever, Minneapolis. Sorry, Minneapolis, and then you eventually get to where it's just like a one-lane road. You're going north, 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 and Boundary Waters. It's literally called Boundary Waters because you're on. You navigate these waters between the border to Canada, and to get to where we needed to get for like our campsite. So to back up a little bit, Yash, who you spoke to, was on that trip, and there was 7 other guys. One was one of the leaders of the gym. One was someone who was from Minnesota that's been to Boundary Waters. He was supposed to be our guide. I'm putting quotations right now if you can't see. He is a friend. And yeah, there wasn't any like I'm sharing this context because it matters. There wasn't any like meetups and just checklists. I'm very just like my mind. I was thinking nature and like I'm a runner. I love nature. I want to explore, and yeah, it became a thing where I was not prepared for what the trip was, and we were not good. Everyone wants to be a leader, and and when you get into compromising situations where decisions have to be made that challenge people's comforts, and that can create some animosity and tension within the group. And this is where it went. Again, Boundary Waters. So like to get to where we want in our campsite, we had a canoe miles, and if something goes wrong, and things can go wrong. Actually, while we were on the trip, apparently 2 people they were lost. They went over a waterfall. They ended up passing away. Like this is like very like desolate out there. Like if something goes wrong, they have to bring a helicopter in to come pick you up. I share that just to give you the setting of this environment. So yeah, we canoe for miles to get to this campsite that my buddy had picked out for us. And we get there, and it's like you don't see anybody the whole time. And then we get there, and someone already had the campsite. Like, what are the odds? So like it ends up being a thing where we go to a campsite that's kind of just a catty corner, like around. There's all these little pockets of lands. You see campsites there, like they're campsites that are like if you go to a campsite, they have like fire pits. So like, yeah, you're way out in nature, but they have like made these campsites somewhat with like things that you can use to make it comfortable. We ended up going to the spot, and immediately there's like the bugs were really bad. It was like the side of this mountain. The only thing good about it is like the shitter was super cool. You had to like walk up this hill, and it's just like sitting on top of a mountain. It was the only cool part about it. But I hated everything else because like I don't like being like bottled up and like not being able to move. And I realized very quickly that that's how this whole trip was going to be. There was no running for me. There was no exploring trails. It was either getting in a canoe or go fishing. I don't fish, and I don't want to be in a canoe. It's just upper body. I want to run. So I was already like, for me, I was like, damn, this trip's going to suck. Became a thing where like, yeah, that campsite did not enjoy it. And the next day, the people who were on that campsite were leaving, and we were out canoeing, a few of us, like half the group, and we saw this. And weather was about to come in, like very bad weather. And again, you're in like this very like desolate place, and you want to be considerate of this and your choices. But we see the campsite there, and we're just like, yo, we got to take the island. Like it's this little mini island. We're like, let's take it. And like for me, that was the first moment of like, let's go. Like we talking about the primal energy. I was like, this is fun. Finally, some adventure. And what happened was like half the group, the guy was not with us, saw this island, and one of them was the owner of the gym, Squatch, and we were like, oh, let's take it. Let's just make the choice for the group. Like, this is a better decision. This is the spot that we wanted. And so the rain's about to come in, though. So we had to, like, make this choice to move our campsite. And we have all these things, and it's about to pour down rain. We don't know for how long. It says it's supposed to rain for, like, 2 days. So it's like, it's either we do that now in my head, or we have to wait 2 days in this crappy campsite, and someone could take this campsite. I'm like, adventure, let's go. So we made the choice. Because the guy was like, hey, let's talk about it back at the group, because we had like walkie-talkies, I think, and we were like, nah, we're just making this choice. So we get back, and like there's a couple of guys are still out, the guide's still out, a couple of guys still back. One of them just took some mushrooms, and we were like, hey, we're leaving. He's like, wait, what? He's like, we're leaving, we gotta go. And they had just constructed our like tent in like our canopy situation, all tied down. It was like well enforced because the weather was coming in. We wanted to be able to stand on so we were protected by the rain. And we're like, no, we got to make this choice now. So we were like, all right, we're making this choice. And like the three of us, Yash being one of them, got and like broke down our tent very quickly and went to and set up at this new island. The island was sick. I was like, this campsite is really cool. And we start to set up, and yeah, the guide came back, and then like Jason, who was the squatch who was agreeing with us, let's do this to get back, and now he's like jumped on the other team, like, yo, what the hell? Why are we like making this choice? And it just became this like conflict thing because my other friend who made the choice too, he's very just like fuck you energy. He's just like, nah, we're doing this. So it created this combative moment, and where like these guys, I understood these guys felt like their decision was stripped from them. They weren't able to be a part of the decision and choice. And then you have the other side who was just like, nah, like F you guys, like we're making this choice, we're doing it. And then I'm in the middle, like I'm trying to separate my own like ambition or my own reasons because it was real. Like this campsite didn't make sense to me, and like we wanted to be this campsite. This was the mission, and I feel like I made a choice for the group, but I was like thinking like, hey, this is a better choice overall, and it's gonna make the trip better because none of us likes this campsite. Let's get to this other campsite. So no matter the case, because the choice was stripped away, there was going to be tension, and there was tension that lasted for 24 hours. We ended up agreeing because we don't want to separate because the weather and too many things can go wrong. We're like, hey, we're just going to all help each other. So everyone's energy was just like, just not having it, but like, we're going to do this. But it ended up becoming a thing where like everyone's like, okay, this is the right choice. I'm going to say I'm not going to use the word right. I don't believe in right or wrong. It was a choice that, okay, I can get behind, and but that also led to like that night, my tent, I didn't have like, cause this kind of gets to the thing of not being prepared for this trip. I didn't have a tarp under my tent. So I literally slept in freezing cold rain and like 20 degree weather that night, and was like shivering. Like, I don't know if I'm going to, I knew I was going to make it, but it was like, it sucked. So yeah, it was not a fun trip.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll take Thad for a walk, and if my socks even get wet through my shoes, I'm pouting. So
yeah,
spending
everything
the entire
was soaked.
night and just soaking wet, shivering.
Everything was soaked, but the trip got, somewhat better. Again, the campsite was better. Everyone just kind of, yeah. Again, it's just, there's always conflict resolution. I love it. Like, it's not easy, but the more that as a leader, I want to be exposed to that as much as possible, because I just love being able to navigate people's emotional resonance, what they're experiencing, lead with curiosity. That's why I don't like right or wrong. I'm not going to plant my flag post like, hey, this is the way. I don't believe in that, because even my way is always evolving every single day as I get new information. But like, I want to be respected, or I want to be respectable of other people and what they're experiencing. And again, because we didn't have this like synergetic like goal with this as a collective going into the trip, and then we had these just different players, it just created this like situation where it was just like, yeah, the conflict was definitely going to be there.
Had all 8 men met each other before?
Yeah, we all knew each other, but like, again, we don't like hang out. Like, there was like the core group of Squatch people like that hang out, and there's a few that didn't. But like, again, it just gets down to like comfort. Like, we're in a place where your comforts are stripped away, and when people are pushed to the brink of like that, like, yeah, there's gonna be like energy that just gets brought to the surface that can be, under conflict.
For you, what was your role in that, in the sense of like, in hindsight, are you glad that you took the stance you took? If you could do it again, would you have changed something? What, as you reflect back on that?
I've reflected a lot. I think that's a good question. It's tough because my mind, like, I don't like having someone's decisions stripped away from them. Like, I think we made that choice very rash, but at the same time, the reason it was rash because the weather was coming in.
Yeah.
And we were like, I don't think I would have changed anything at the end of the day. I think I would have prepped the other person a little bit better to not be so combative, because me and him were together in the journey, and I talked to him a little bit coming over, but he flipped a switch, and then that just created too much boiling energy, because as soon as combative energy comes into the equation, that person naturally, energetically, is going to create a wall. So we don't want walls. We want walls to be no walls.
No.
we can't. we can disagree. We can disagree and have different beliefs, but like that doesn't mean we can't come to an understanding. And the more that like this friction comes in, where you're like combative, like this is my way, the other person doesn't want to hear what you're saying, so it just has no recipe for anything good. So my role, I felt like mediator, because we had multiple people. It was like half and half, and then the other person jumped on the other side and was like, oh, and I was like, whoa, you just like flip sides. So I was like, all right, everyone just like take a breath for a second. And I've done this role before. I see myself as this in situations, and it's going to happen a lot more in my lifetime. But like, I see myself as this like energetic and mediator around tough conversations, especially with men, because men, it's tough for them to own their own emotions and not come from this place of like, I have to be right. Like, I am right. Like, I'll defend it to the day I die. I'm like, why? Like, what is that doing for you? So, yeah.
Yeah. Are you wearing 2 watches?
So this is, I don't really care about this one. This is like for pacing and like I'll check time. This is Whoop. This is more for my sleep and just my consistent data. But to answer your question, technically no. This is a watch. This is just a strap.
Does the data help you or stress you out?
It helps me a lot, yeah. But I've gone through my own journey with that. Like I've been on Whoop for probably 3 years, but I took a year off in between. Last year, and I restarted. I restarted last year, but I took a year, almost a year and a half off because it would. And I have conversations around this all the time. At the end of the day, everything in life is relationships. I use it as a tool now. It doesn't have any form of impact on how I show up. It's just strictly the relationship is tool. That's all. Now that took a lot of work for me to get there, and I also just see the trajectory of life, and it kind of gets back to like earlier you're talking about tribe and like things like the simplicities. Now there's just more things that can stimulate us, stress us out, but it just takes more work for us to be centered and rooted and not allow things to pull us out of that. So for me, like, yeah, I operate strictly from a tool-based thing. This thing, it's nice to have time, but I don't really care about that much. But I got it sent for me. I want to buy this, honestly. I got it sent for me from Amazfit, and I just track it for pacing. It's nice. But for like the longest time, I'm very fit. I've been in fitness for a while, and I know people who are so attached to their Stravas. I literally don't give a damn about it. So attached to like showing, and like the workouts have to be exact timing. Like I don't care about it. I'm so detached, and I'm not judging. It's just like an observation and pattern. And like everything I run through is around mental health, and like that's why this was a great question. And a lot of people, yeah, they allow them to stretch it out. They're too attached to it, and like none of those things matter. But what I do care about is I want to be the most optimized version of myself. So I love learning about myself. I'm using them as learning tools to understand me, so I can continue to show up in my powers and my gifts.
You want to take a trip back in time with me?
Let's do it, dude.
All right, here we go.
Back in time.
I'll take you a sip of your water before I show you this. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I'm about to show Bray a series of about 5 different pictures. They will be embedded on the YouTube version, so if you want to look at these with us, jump on over to YouTube. If you don't care, then don't. Number 1. Look at that guy. Look at that little kid. What's coming to mind right now?
I got a little emotional. Yeah, what's coming up, my relationship with my family, it's not bad, but it's something that I struggle with. It's something that's prevalent on my mind quite often. All my family's in Indiana. I chose to chase aliveness. I did not feel alive there. I felt boxed in, similar to like the Minnesota trip and the campsite. Like there's consistencies in my life where if I'm not able to spread my wings and be me, that it really challenges me. And yeah, it's I don't think there's I used to have shame and guilt towards myself around my relationship with my family, in terms of just making sure that I'm being intentional and proactive and like keeping the connection. But I know that I'm, again, human, and like I'm doing the best that I can. But the best that I can, no matter the case, whether it's relationship with family, like that's always a moving ship. So it's something uh, that's something that I'm working to be even better on, I guess I should say. Again, as soon as I got my license when I was 16, I was like, I get out of here. Like, I just like, yeah. My family's interesting in the sense that, well, I say interesting because I don't, it's interesting to me, I guess, is how I look at it. I don't have any other example because it's my family. My mom had me when she was 20. My parents weren't together, and uh, I have 5 siblings. They're all half siblings, and they're all different ages. Most of them are younger. I'm the oldest. And yeah, I've always felt kind of like I don't have this sense of like foundation of family and like closeness, togetherness, and it wasn't until like recently, like definitely like my relationship with my mom has been strengthened because she's broke down some walls and got vulnerable with me on some things, and that started with me leading that way. And I think I take on a big I take on sometimes, and this is in general in life, just in my missions, like I put a lot of pressure on myself to be the leader and be the person to make everything good for everyone, solve everyone's problems at some capacity. And my family is just, I've kind of put on the role as like, I need to focus on me and build my support systems here and build the businesses that I believe in and have the abundance from there to then go back and be able to support them more. And I've had shame of like not being able to do that. And like, I'm not there yet. Once I get there, then I can help you guys more. So I've been just kind of like the role of like leading by example, and I've seen how they've, altered their life because of that. Cause they see the things. I don't use Facebook, but my Instagram is linked to Facebook intentionally. So my family can see, what I'm up to. Yeah.
You felt so for the listener, you're probably like 4, 5, 6 in this picture. At that young of age, did you feel like you were boxed in already?
No, I don't have a ton of uh, memory recall in terms of like putting my mind in this age and
Sure.
like how I was operating the world. But when I see this, I just immediately think of just collectively my relationship with my family because, um, yeah, this is what comes up for me. Yeah. Let's go. This is a beer shower happening right now.
A beer shower.
Yeah.
How old are you there? If you had to guess?
This is definitely either freshman or sophomore year. So I was either 18 or 19 because I was young for my grade. Yeah. Still got my hairline there.
What's coming to mind?
Uh, I mean, I came from a very small town, graduated at 177, and
Whew.
went to college at a very big college, Indiana University, and I never even really heard of a fraternity or like even knew what that was. And someone from my high school was in Sigma Nu, which is the shirt I'm wearing here. So I was probably a sophomore because I was in the house now because I had a shirt. And yeah, I definitely, I was very shy growing up until about like my junior year of high school. I started to break out of my shell, but I also started partying a lot. I think I really, I really valued just bringing big energy to rooms, but at the time I needed alcohol to be able to fully embody that. So this right here is like, yeah, it was. I was already starting the process of which a lot of people do, but the process of just numbing my true self and just really. I went to college to party. That's what another reflection of this is. I went there to be a part of a fraternity and party and be the life of the party. Uh, my eyes here, I look kind of like in college. I had a nickname, Bob Blackout Brayden. I blacked out a lot. Used to get in a lot of fights, uh, and I think that some of this the suppressed just anger of self of not being fully myself is how I reflect back at an older age. Because I'm definitely not a combative person. I'm rooted in like my truths and strengths, and I will defend them if I need to. But Um, then I was fighting a lot.
Yeah.
But I also was loving a lot. People enjoyed to have me around, but I definitely had like the Dr. Jackal, Mr. Hyde energy going.
Do you know your father?
Yeah, yeah.
Was he in the picture when you were growing up?
Yeah, so my dad, and my mom got remarried, or got married, I should say, when I was 5. So I have a stepdad. Um, they both, yeah, my dad's to this day, he got me into wrestling. He's still a wrestling coach. He was involved in my program. He wasn't like the coach. He was around when it came to wrestling. I would do the whole classic, every other weekend, go and see him. Uh, and then my stepdad got me into dirt bike racing, so I started racing when I was 5. And yeah, he was just like, I look back because I'm very involved in just being the best man I can be, and like leadership qualities, and if I was a father, like how would I show up? And I've done my healing and through like not judging them anymore. But my younger self definitely didn't feel like I had a good positive role model to help guide me through life. My stepdad had a lot of just he was a partier. My dad was a partier, and like went through his like I'm sober. My stepdad still drinks, but yeah, they both just had their own shit, and I respect that. We all have our own shit. But I didn't feel like I had a good guide through life. And once I turned, 16 and got out into the world, and once I turned 18 in the college, like I was learning things, and but also getting pulled towards things that didn't support me, like drugs and alcohol.
Do you have anyone that you think that you did look up to when you were younger? Do you recall, or maybe even look up to isn't the right word, but I had like my father was in my life, but I always thought he was sort of a scoundrel, so he was never really a role model of mine. But I remember there was this guy at the church that I was raised in named Chuck, who was like this firefighter and paramedic, and seemed like a really good dad, just the way he interacted with his wife and his kids. And so he was someone I sort of looked up to. But then I also had these far away characters that I never met, like Randy Orton and John Cena, and I would watch the WWE, and maybe I didn't admire them per se, but it was almost like an obsession where I'm like, these guys are so jacked and they're fighting, and like this is sort of a man right here, and this is like 8, 9, 10-year-old David talking.
Yeah.
Do you recall if you had someone either in your life or from afar that you sort of looked up to, or you were observing and taking things from them?
Yeah, from 0 to 22, no. Because I've journaled about this, I've written about this, I've talked about this. And this is a part of like the crisis in men's mental health in general, is just a lack of that at a young age. There was pieces, especially of my dad, and that I reflect now that I really like that I'd also do today. But no, I didn't have like someone that I was thinking through, like my wrestling coaches, the other coaches. One of them, he was a good dude, but he became a drug addict because of back issues and back surgery. Other coach was like, he just, wasn't very serious and didn't really like set a good example. So like usually a coach or like a teacher could potentially in like the immediate could be that, but I didn't have that. And from afar, I wasn't really watching too many things. Like, we had the Colts, Peyton Manning, but like I wasn't like getting good. Like, I wasn't getting a lot of exposure to that. Like like seeing more about them. I was seeing them play the game, So I wasn't like seeing these different qualities. It wasn't until I was severely depressed and suicidal in like 22, 23 when I like, all right, I had to go find these things. At the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I was more just like, I got to change what's going on through my head, and I got to fill it up with things that are healthy. So I would go through these different podcasts. I really liked Andy Frisella, First Form. He was a man that was like not fucking around, and like I saw a lot of myself in him. And I would go and find, different leaders like that, and slowly, be able to see some qualities that I like. But this is why I'm passionate about it now, is like I want to help men become better leaders so they can, that ripple can happen and there's more positive role models.
I feel like a lot of people that I've met are often, and myself included when I was younger, we're so quick to blame our parents or maybe one of our parents for, this is why I am like I am, and this is why I'm fucked up. And at the same time, though, I think that we also have to attribute some of the good traits that we have to our parents as well. I don't know how this question will sit with you, but what's something positive that your dad instilled in you?
Yeah, for sure. No, I've reflected on this. I mean, my dad. One thing I really appreciated. I used to, when I was a kid, I used to get embarrassed about this, but we'd like just be in public and in line, and he would just talk to anyone. It didn't matter. He would spark a conversation, and that's something I do today. Like
Me too.
I want to be able to just talk to anyone and make them feel seen, welcomed, part of belonging. And now he's stepped in even to a better man in the past. Like I would say like 10 to 12 years. I haven't been in Austin, but he's very involved in church, community leader, youth programs. Like he's found his sense of purpose. He'll go to Guatemala and help, build houses for. So he's definitely found, in his older adult life. And I think, there's no right way to being a dad, and you're always learning too. And there's not like so I don't have any judgment. But yeah, that's definitely the quality of him that I really enjoy. My stepdad, this one took a little longer for me. I think I had a little bit more built up animosity towards him. But what I appreciate about him is like he teaches himself how to do anything. Like he's become the guy that literally he can fix anything or learn. Like he just recently learned. Now he's freaking skinning and like cutting the meat up for like deer. And now like friends are coming to him to do that for him. And then he's always the guy like growing up that could fix like mechanic wise, fix anything, especially dirt bike 4-wheelers. So he's just like a very good side hustle, and like he learns things very fast. So I appreciate that a lot. He always tried to get me involved in like learning how to like build. I was like never interested. Like I'm very much the person. Like I've now my older self is like I'd rather pay someone else to do those things. I'm not passionate about that, but I appreciate it. But there's those qualities of like knowing that you can teach yourself anything is a very powerful thing to understand. So I'm very appreciative of that.
What was a conversation that you've had with a stranger that was really special to you that you think you'll remember for years to come? Has there been one?
Yeah, I'll just follow my brain pathway. The first thing that really came up for me, me and Yush, my friend, we were in Arches National Park, in Utah, and we had taken some mushrooms. It was still dark out. The goal was to see the Arches for the sunrise, and there's all these people out there. It's wild, and we randomly ran into this British guy, and he didn't have a headlamp, so we just like kind of connected before we got into the trail. He's like, "Hey, can I just like walk with you guys and just like take some of your light?" And yeah, it just became a really good conversation and someone that we connected with. And he was just like this very playful older guy, and it's like probably 50s or 60s, and was very appreciative of America in the sense that just the abundance of national parks. So shout out Teddy Roosevelt. And but yeah, it was I don't remember the full scope of our conversation, but it was that's the first thing that came up for me. This is funny.
Describe this for the non-YouTube listeners.
Yeah, so this is a photo with 5 other guys from my fraternity. They were in my pledge class. And we are at the Super Bowl in Indianapolis. I don't know what year that was. I just know it was the Patriots and the Giants. It was the first time Super Bowl in Indianapolis, I think, the city. And we were we're in these yellow tees. We were part of, which is ironic because Ainsley's Angels, we were part of the mobility assistance team. So we would take people. You've probably seen this in other, big sporting events where people that are in wheelchairs need support getting into their seats.
Yep.
So when they're checking in, we were at different checkpoints. We would push people into the venue. We were all like split up. My section, I remember I was like, damn, I didn't really get anyone to push until I only pushed one person at the very end. I'm like, we were here this whole time just like hanging out. There was like no one to push. But I did get a push at the end, and like I ended up just like, all right, I'm just gonna stay in the venue. So I was like, I stayed in the stadium and saw the last like drive, the Mario Manningham crazy catch on the sideline, and it was just like an epic last drive, and the Giants ended up winning that Super Bowl. So yeah.
It's cool. It's a cool memory.
Yeah.
So you were in college in that picture?
I was in college, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen any of these boys in a long time.
Just because of I know I lost touch with a lot of my college friends just because that was sort of our common denominator, and then we all, I moved to Texas, they moved wherever. Is that why you didn't talk to them anymore? You think just you lost that You know,
No, it's not that simple for me. It's like I really like my environments really matter to me, and like me being the best version of myself, and that's why like I struggle with my family, and um, you know I think there's this idea of like also like reputation first character. Reputation is how other people perceive you. Character is how you show up when no one's watching, and there's sometimes a gap between that. And my character in the early days, like, and how people like they saw me at my worst. They see, and then my family saw me at my worst. So it's like I had to like break free from those environments so I can step into the new version of self. And yeah, they're all over the country, but like some of them still connect here and there. And um, Indiana University just won the national championship in football. So like I saw them all. Some of them went to the game in Miami. That's where we went to college, and it was a cool moment because we all loved Indiana University sports during college. And yeah, I got into the health and wellness space and kind of like said bye. Like I moved here, and one of my close friends that was in our pledge class moved here, and I moved here with another friend that was from Indiana with me. And I call him my ex best friend because there's just a lot of trauma there, and I had to like detach from him. Um, so I think that's another part of this of why I've kind of just like said bye. But they follow me, they see me, they see what I'm doing, and I think there's gonna be a place where things get to go full circle and we get to reconnect. But I just haven't been in the operating space because I'm so locked in on what I'm like, where I'm going right now, and what I'm building, that I don't have the abundance of time to give energy towards them. And they're not awesome. They're not reaching out. So it goes both sides, but also leaders go first. So like I will at some point circle around to that, but I needed to separate in order for me to elevate into the person that I needed to be. And then find the people who are on that same wavelength as myself. So it makes it a lot easier to have strong relationships because we're on the same page. They're still partying, drinking. Like I don't want to be in that world. I have no judgment, but I just don't want to be in that world.
yeah. Do you think there's anything that when people meet you for the first time, they misunderstand about you?
For sure. I sit with this a lot because I think I can be a lot. This is my reflection of self, and I'd also, but I think I'm a lot because for so long I was in a dungeon in my head and hated myself, and for like me playing small is like the biggest like killer to me. So like I want to bring this big energy and like bring that to space, but sometimes that can be too intense. So that's like one thing. But also I think yeah, I'm very attuned to energy and feeling. I can just feel sometimes like body language. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm creating. I try not to put too much into it. I'm just always gonna keep. I know I have good intentions and good energy, and just like trust in that. I don't want to get too caught up in how others perceive me because you can't be for everybody, and that's just how life is.
Yeah. I've started something new about 18 months ago where I've been also going up to strangers and just saying something like, hey, sorry to interrupt your workout. My name's David. I host a podcast here in town. This is what it's about. If you came on the show, what would you talk about? And I
Mm,
wonder like how many people
that's cool.
that have declined me is just because of my energy or my persona, which is a good thing, right? Because that saves me time, that saves them time, whereas other people are an immediate yes, and they're like, this is what I would talk about, this is what I'm fired up for.
Yeah,
But it's been a really fun social experiment for
that's
one,
cool.
because the first time I did it, dude, I was so nervous. My hands were shaking, I had the butterflies in my stomach. And now we could leave here today and you could point at a person and be like, David, go ask that person, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't be a problem for me. But I do wonder just and also like similar to what I did with you, I send everyone that video that I
Mm-hmm.
sent you after they say, yeah, I'd potentially be interested. There's been a lot of people that never follow up to that video, and I just wonder, you know,
Nah.
it doesn't bother me. Let me
Yeah.
preface by saying that. Again, I think it's a good thing because I've had 160 episodes, and it's all been the exact right people. So the people that don't come on, I don't
Yeah.
care. This isn't the platform for you
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Whether it was me, you don't want to tell your story. Maybe you're still figuring out what your story is.
Yeah.
And so they see that this is it's a storytelling podcast about you. So who knows why they ghost me? But again, the whole podcasting and approaching strangers, it's just been a fascinating sort of social experiment to see
Yeah.
who comes on, who doesn't, why do they come on, why do they say no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's super fun.
Yeah, I think I love your outlook on it, but also I think there's a beautiful lesson there in the sense of like stay rooted in who you are and like allow your passions to come through yourself and don't put the governor on because of how other people perceive you, or how quote unquote get ghosted, energy like that. Like the more that we empower and be the person that we are, the more that everything is better in life. Not just for us, like that ripples out. The more that we're adjusting who we are because of other people or perceptions, the more that we're not going to be as at peace with self, because we're getting pulled away from self, and then that energetically goes out to everyone else, so they're feeling that energy. Versus like if you can just be in your power and be you, but also yeah, there's a level like for myself, I'm moderating, like as you said, like I'm taking in this data and I'm seeing, and I know I don't want to completely adjust, but also yeah, I am learning and just being delicate. Like, oh, how could I communicate this with this person? Because maybe uh, yeah, there's just opportunities to kind of moderate and like and modify potentially the delicacy of communication. 'Cause I think communication is a superpower. It's a super skill, and everyone communicates differently. So like not completely like again putting the governor on where you have to adjust completely, but also like, hey, I want to be resonant and see how I can communicate with this group, because I do that when I like public speak and I'm in like intimate groups. It's like, oh, let me fill into like what is the environment that I'm in here today, and what is like because what's important is the message. Like you getting the feedback. Oh, I want to have this healthy conversation. This is a great social experiment. How can I be somewhat delicate in my approach as to maybe you don't need to do it at all. Maybe you already gone through all the growth of that. You don't need to, but it's just something to consider.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. I was really excited to find this picture because you and me, I mean, I'm sure we share a lot in common, but this was one I got really fired up for.
Let's go.
Skydiving.
Let's go.
Who's that with you?
It's my little brother,
What's his name?
Mason. Yeah, this is so this is the brother that I grew up with. He's 7 years younger than me. Uh, my mom and stepdad. And yeah, I'm proud of him. I mean, he's married now. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a kid on the way soon. He has his own house. It's starting his little side hustle. He's turned into a little entrepreneur. He's been running. Um, and yeah, we don't talk very much. There's not like same thing with my family. There's no bad relationships. It's just like there's just not conversation happening. So I don't know what's happening in his life. I get another situation with family, like I feel emotion like invoking or coming up because I want to be a good role model and big brother, and I know that he can still see what's going on through social media, but he's not getting the support from me that I know I can give. We did a 30-day challenge in January for Men in the Arena, and a part of that, I forget the prompt, but it just prompted me to reach out to my brothers because I have three, but I reached out to two of them because the one's just he's super young. And yeah, I was like, hey, let's hop on a FaceTime, and then conversation went back and forth, and it bled out to me not making sure it happened. So I'm grateful for you giving me this, because this is another just like blast in the face that I need, because I will take ownership of not showing up sometimes the best when it comes to my family, to make sure that I'm reaching out and having a conversation. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Do you think that you've dove in so headfirst into making sure that you're the best version of yourself that in some ways you're getting in your own way?
I mean, I think on paper, there's definitely a pathway of truth there. I've navigated getting in my own way in the sense of just through the journey of growth and healing, and but also within that, like what comes up for me. I mean, when I was 22, 23, like I was this close to ending it all, and I hated myself, and that world of the I created, and the cesspool of just negative thoughts, like that doesn't just go away. Like it doesn't matter what you've been through, the body, the emotions, like those things hold on, like your body holds on to those things. And no matter the growth, the journey I've been on, which I'm so freaking proud of, and it excites me, and I'm getting closer and closer to just a lot of exciting things are coming my way these days. That yeah, when things would go wrong in the past 8 years, and when I mean by go wrong is like they would just it would create some emotion of where I would have this like this very dark, shameful thought myself, and then I would sabotage myself, and then they would just be this roller coaster where I'd have these peaks and then really crash, have these peaks, crash back into depression. This is over the last 8 years. I share that because like I I feel like I've had this conversation a couple of years ago that's coming up for me. So this is good that this is resurfacing, and now I'm kind of getting back to your question. Like, if I would say what's in my own way right now is me not answering the call in regards to knowing that I can give time towards my family more. And the reason I share that is because in life, the more that you're holding on to that you know that you're not showing up the best as, that's weight. That's emotional weight. That emotional weight weighs on the conscience. And the more that you push off things like that, the more that it's not going to allow you to fully embody the person that you want to be, because there's this weight that's weighing you down. And I'm very grateful of like how I show up in hard conversations and stepping into the arena and all these different things that it's allowed me to move the weight, and I'm helping other men do the same thing. But there's still, when it comes specifically to my family, I haven't been as intentional to removing that weight and healing those relationships. So in that sense, yes, at some capacity, I do believe that is something that's holding me back, because I know if there's any friction anywhere emotionally and internally, that there's a level of like not allowing more abundance in, and yeah.
I asked you this before we started recording, and you answered based off what was literally happening in the moment. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good. I mean, this conversation has like put me in a place where I believe ownership is important, but also having love and grace for yourself. And this is like, yeah, put me in a place where I'm more motivated to strengthen the ties of my family. So I don't, there's a level of emotion there for sure, because like immediately the feelings that come in is shame and judgment. But knowing that like I haven't done anything bad per se, like there's nothing bad that's happened. There's no bad energy. There's no like, that's the reality that I can create in my head. But no one's having those thoughts about me from my family. But I know how important just strong ties and relationships are, and I've been creating that for myself here in Austin. That I want that with them as well. That's important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I show you this next picture, I just want to tell you I am thoroughly enjoying this conversation, and there is nowhere else on the planet I would rather be right now.
Let's go. I appreciate that, brother. Same. So this is my mother. Yeah, it's interesting with her. I mean, like I said, she was 20. She was in college when she had me. Proud of her. She went back and finished her degree, I think, when I was finishing college, actually. She's a very caring person. She works in child services. She's handles a lot of stress with that role. She's a leader and director in that role. And yeah, every year when I go back for Christmas, we get to have some level of like vulnerable, emotional conversation that allows us to connect more. I've told her very transparently she triggers me more than anybody in my life, and I don't like hold judgment towards it, but that puts my nervous system in a place that like I don't know how to connect sometimes, and yeah, I'm proud of her. We recently, last fall, I had some news that came my way that wasn't the best, and that created a opportunity for her to kind of be extremely vulnerable and talk about her as a mom, herself, her experience, and like I think you mentioned earlier, just like it's easy for kids to blame. Like I don't blame. I believe in ownership, but there's things that happen, like your environment as a kid, like the traumas that you experience, like they shape who you are. I'm proud of who I am today, so there's no like me having shame and judgment towards that. But she, like being vulnerable, opened up, on her experience and like how she felt she could have been better, and like that's allowed us just to have a stronger relationship.
Do you have anything in particular that triggers you? I know one of mine is if someone ever said, "David, you sure are acting like your dad right now." I'd probably
Triggers and specifically to my mom or just in general?
I asked it generally because sometimes your mom's not here right now.
Yeah.
And so my initial reaction was to say, how does your mom trigger you? But I also don't want to put poor mom on blast today.
Yeah.
But you said that was a very specific comment that you said about her that I wasn't expecting. So I'm just curious, what does Coach Bray getting triggered look like, and what causes that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, emotional maturity, I'll just say this first and before I answer your question, is being able to recognize that a trigger is an opportunity. It's a mirror into your own inner world, an opportunity to grow. It's never about the person. It's about how you own what you're feeling. What triggers me? I think I really struggle with just the things that just don't matter, that gets energy poured into them. Status, like driven, materialistic things like that, and people who pour into that. I'll back up. I guess like I think the thing that triggers me the most, and I see it with men, is, and I shared this in regards to the Minnesota trip, is like the whole right or wrong. I've seen men just like, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, and I don't like that. And I definitely, there was a version of myself that was younger that did that. So like I just now I've kind of separated myself from that in terms of like thinking that I need to grow, because I don't feel like I do that at all anymore. I'm very clear on like I don't believe in right or wrong. That's one. It's always interesting. I think I'm less like aware consciously like to these things right now, because I don't give them too much power. Like I immediately, it's like the watch. It's like it's a tool that immediately comes in, and I'm not letting it like dictate who I am. It's like it's that thoughts coming in that trigger, and I'm like, okay, this is an opportunity. Cool. It's like, oh, this recovery score. Oh, this isn't triggering me to like, fuck, my whole day's ruined because I didn't get any sleep. No, it's like this trigger comes in. It's like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to show up better and like understand better why I feel this way. So there's definitely other triggers, but they're just not like popping up for me right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was not. Well, maybe I was triggered since we're having an honest conversation. For those listening that are not in Austin, we have an annual event here called South by Southwest. And this year they had a free podcasting networking event that I signed up for, because I really love meeting other podcasters and just talking all things podcasting. And so I was so excited to go to this event. And Bray, the level of small talk that I both overheard, as well as I was trying to go deeper with people, and not everyone, a lot of people there had a level of arrogance to them, almost like they thought they were the modern day Rogan or Chris Williamson or Stephen Bartlett or whatever big podcaster, whatever name you want to throw out there. And it was interesting for me because the next day I went to the gym and I connected with someone, and he ended up accepting an invite to come on the pod. And so here we are in the situation where I'm at the gym, where we're not here to network, and I'm making these awesome connections that I'm thrilled about. And then I go to this quote unquote networking event, and it was such a disappointment, man. And maybe it was me. Maybe the wrong version of David showed up, and I was turning people off. And I haven't really overanalyzed it too much. I didn't really think about it until right now. But similar to you, I don't like small talk. I don't want to sit down and have a podcast with you about the weather and cedar fevers in Austin, right? Like I don't.
Yeah, you want to get the nitty
bores
gritty,
me.
things that are real. Yeah, things that have meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, there's always like a level of, expectations can be the killers, but I think collectively, I see it in just the health wellness space too. Just events that are becoming just like, oh, let's just get as many like people there. Let's just get all these cameras, influencers. There's all this energy, but then like, what are we doing with it? Like, where is it going? What are we like? What are we standing for? What are the values that we're portraying? How are we instilling connection for the people who don't know anyone there? It's just like it just feels like it's cool that people are coming together. I think that's always a win, no matter what. Because people need people, but like as leaders, as guides, like how are you being intentional in the events that you create to allow those like crossing points and touching points where people can actually get to know people better? Because I think in that experience, I don't know how the setup was, but I think it always comes down to who the facilitator is, no matter the case, because they're setting the energy for the space. And that allows for other people to know their role within that space. Because people need guides. They need to be led. Like, it's like you just enter a space and you're coming in with your own intentions and missions and like, or just lack of just like care, and you just want to like flaunt and peacock around. Or it's like the facilitator's like, hey, this is what we're doing right now. Like, and it's very intentional and warming. And that allows people to kind of like, this is something I think about a lot because I host a lot of things, and it's something that's important to me. And I see a lack of that in general. A lack of intention. It's just like, oh, let's just get people together and let things, be whatever that is.
Yeah. Not the best game plan in the world.
Yeah. But again, it's like we live in a new world. There's like the separation. There's COVID. And I think there's coming like a full circle moment where community's mattering a lot more. So some people are abusing it. Some people are using it properly. And that's like been the thing for the dawn of time. There's always good and bad, the ugly of all forms of leaders. So, yeah.
You ready for your last picture?
Okay, let's go.
Before I show you this one, it's interesting because you mentioned that your junior year of high school, you used alcohol as almost like a social lubricant to sort of be, whatever version it was that you were trying to be. When you showed up here this morning, were you sober?
Yeah.
All right. So knowing that, what's interesting is as soon as I opened the door and you came in, I felt like a ball of energy walked into the room. And I just think it's important to for the younger listener that's showing up, that Bray is an example of someone who he tested this thing because he thought he needed this crutch. And you showed up this morning in probably a more powerful way than you ever did when you were drinking beer, whiskey. I don't know what your go-to was. It's not important for today's conversation. But with that being said, what comes to your mind for this one?
My boy Danny Chapa. He was in a couple of these photos you shared. Yeah, this is Indy 500. This is about the only thing that Indiana has that that's noteworthy.
Poor Indiana.
It's a redneck. This is why I have like the cut off like flannel situation happening here. Drunk, passed out. But I actually, ironically, I actually really enjoyed these experiences. Because it's like so much like a festival energy. I really like festivals, even. So I'm just alcohol sober. I don't even claim that title. Like I'll have a glass of wine if I want to. It just doesn't happen. Or have a drink if I want to. It just doesn't happen. The opportunities don't create itself. It kind of gets in my whole ideology. I just don't believe in like attachment to like identities and dogma. Like I want to be able to forever evolving person and allow new information for me to dictate. But all to say, like I did have to separate from that world for a long time. But I did enjoy this actually because we're close friends. We're partying and hanging out, playing different games, and we're camping. But yeah, this was me passed out, and my buddy taking a picture with me. Yeah, I don't have any like no other thoughts come up outside of that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You want me to take those?
Yeah, sure.
There's a fidget spinner on the table if you do get comfort in holding something while we talk this morning.
Good. Yeah, we're good.
As I mentioned to you, this is always a hard question for me to ask because it's very personal. But like I mentioned, I don't enjoy small talk either. About 2.5 years ago, I was in the gym. It was leg day, and I just finished a set of what was heavy squats for me. I'm sitting there hanging on the bar, damn near about to pass out. I look up in the mirror, and there's this young man that I noticed, and I thought he was walking towards me, but I wasn't sure. Maybe he was just walking towards my area to also grab his own squat rack or something. So I look down, I take a few more deep breaths, I look up, and he's still walking directly at me. Now he's taking his headphones out. So I take my headphones out, I saw him in the mirror, I turn around, I put up my hand to introduce myself to him. And he said, he made a very specific reference, and he said, "Hey, we have something in common." I said, "Yeah? What's that?" And he said, "We both have a monster in our family. The only difference is for you it's your dad, and for me it's my mom." And at first I was thrown off because I was like, how the fuck does he know anything about me or my dad? And then it immediately hit that about 10 days prior I'd released an episode where I told a story about my father, and I was like, oh, no way. He found the podcast. Like, this is cool. So I asked him, I said, "Are you doing legs by chance today?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Would you want to finish our workouts together?" And he said, "Sure." And so he told me his story about his mom and his family dynamics and everything that led him up to a moment when he was 16 years old when he tried to take his own life. And that moment, man, changed my life forever. It's why I attribute this podcast to existing today, because every episode I say a little prayer for him and for all the other kids out there that got to a place as young as 8 years old, according to the Center of Disease Control, where they thought they had to take their own life. And that's why I wake up, and that's why I get out of bed, and that's why I invite strangers over to my house to have conversations. It's for these people. So the difficult question that I wanted to ask you, for their sake, so they could sort of see, get an outside perspective and figure out that they're not alone and they're not the only one who's thinking about this. Would you be willing to tell me the story and tell us the story of what led you to be at that moment yourself when you were 22 years old and you felt like the only solution was to end things?
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, something that we alluded to earlier was just the weight. And the analogy that I would give when I was speaking about this more often was this kind of idea that this weight, and I'll speak to the weight here in a moment, but this weight, this chain was like pulling me down into the water, and I was like trying to swim and get a quick breath of air, then pull me back down. And that's how it felt in my body during those times. And what got me there was a combination that I narrow it down to just having a lack of purpose. That's like the simplicity of that, a lack of reason to be here. And if you look to the most common words that you'll see in a suicide note, it's feeling, worthless or useless. So what's the opposite of that to me is purpose, like something that drives you. And I didn't have that. And I felt I was looking at all my college friends, and they were, getting their corporate jobs, moving across the country. And here I am back in my parents' home, had a semester left of college, and I walked with my class, but I didn't graduate yet. I had this weight and this pressure of, I was prescribed to Adderall in college. I don't think that helped with my neurochemistry, but that was just a part of the bigger thing that was happening, and me just constantly pushing everything off. I wouldn't face anything that, not that, I don't know if I was quote unquote scared, but I just wanted to be comfortable. I didn't want to have to feel like I was challenging something. I didn't want to have to face anything, face the demon, face the boss at the video game. I wanted to just stay in my own comforts and my own pity. And the more that you stay there, which again, as we spoke to at the very beginning, can be easy at some level. Easy choices, hard life. And it just kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Then you add in the mix of just, now I'm back in my family's home, the place I wanted to escape. I'm still have no idea what I want to do with my life. Now, because I was a criminal justice major, I was like, all right, let me get experience. So I worked 7 months in a max prison, and I'm working night shifts, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So my sleep's messed up. All these variables, I'm unhealthy. I'm starting to dip for the first time. So nicotine, all these things just start stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. And again, it's just the weight got too heavy, where I didn't see, like, I didn't think I mattered. Like, I didn't think anyone cared about me enough because I hated myself so much. So that, how you see yourself and how you reflect on yourself and the love that you have, or the lack of love that you have for yourself, just gets portrayed out to, like, oh, that's how everyone else thinks of me. The more that we, and this is back on the other side, if we want love in our life and we want abundance, then we have to give that to ourselves. And when we operate from those energetic frequencies, then that gets populated around us. So yeah, all in all, like, all those things just stacked and stacked and stacked to where, like, I had a choice either to end or change. Obviously, I picked the path of change.
The job in the prison, I imagine that would, someone's got to do it, you know.
Yeah.
But man, for anyone, like, that's got to be that. There's got to be, to use your words, some weight to that.
Well, it's also like, again, environment. So the prisoners weren't bad, but I'm just like looking at my life and where I'm at, and like the shame and guilt of like, what am I doing? Like, I'm like walking around, like, again, back to the comparison model is another big thing. It's just like my college friends, they look like they're having fun. I'm seeing them on social media, you know, they got their corporate gigs. I'm creating like this vision that, oh, they got everything figured out and I don't got shit figured out. I'm a loser. I'm working in a prison with people, you know, from 30s to 60s. They hate their life. Like the correctional officers, they hate their life. They're working night shift. So it's like, fuck, all right, I'll hate my life too. You know, that makes sense. And yeah, it's not a great environment.
When you were at your darkest moment, what made you decide to change?
Yeah, there's not like, I think, you know, it's the classic, like, a pivotal moment. There's not like a direct pivotal moment. I don't think life works like that, in my opinion. I just knew that I needed, like, I wasn't going to live. Like, that was it. Like, it's like, if I keep going down this trajectory, there's no, like, because I'm already mapping out, like, okay, I could, you know, I'm driving, I could easily just kind of reel into the median when the highway splits, and, like, I can just end it all. It can look like an accident. And what stopped me from making that choice is my family, actually. I would think about my family, and I would think about my funeral. I would think about how they would feel if I wasn't here. And that would wreck me. And I was like, I can't make this choice. This feels so, and I can't. Everyone's way is different, and everyone who makes that choice is navigating, to me, some level of what I'm expressing right here. And sometimes the weight just gets too much, and I can understand and empathize with that process and that decision making. But for me, it's like I couldn't do it. And what allowed me to, I guess, change my inner world was a collection of moments. And that started with getting healthy, and that, you know, that trajectory has led me to where I'm at today. Healthy in the sense of eating better. You know, I developed the eating disorder from my wrestling days, and cutting weight from 6th to 12th grade. So depression, that was one of my coping mechanisms, was food, and I still struggle with that at some capacity today. I've healed a shit ton, and I've grown through that process, but that's still one of the coping mechanisms. Masturbation was a big one. What's another one? Weed, alcohol at some capacity, but I never was like a heavy drinker. I would just go out just for literally just a social lubricant. But yeah, working out, eating better, and then listening to podcasts, consuming books. Like, I was just like, I needed my current language. If I was a computer, like, my language model that's integrated into my system was terrible. Like, there was no one could thrive in life with the language model that I had in me. So I needed to burn that down and input new data. So that data was podcasts again. And then I think just being healthier creates a better environment for you to do all those things better.
Did you ever express, when you were younger, did you express to anyone where you were at in life?
No, and my family, like, I didn't know how to. And that's a classic, another issue, just as men, and not willing to express what's going on. And, you know, feeling shameful of, like, you know, I got myself here. You know, I it's not their problem. I don't want to be inconvenienced. Like, those are thought patterns that come in. And it's why also I'm grateful for every journey. I'm just going to say this, every journey I've been through, because it allows me so much to be the better leader and the guide for other men, because I understand it. I get it. But no, I didn't. And I've been able to have conversations with my family over the years because they saw it. They felt it, and they didn't know either. They didn't like, and that's that. They had their own shame and guilt of not knowing how to talk to me and how to, understand it better what I was going through. But I take ownership of, suppressing that. And for me, no one was gonna fix my life for me, and I needed to figure it out. And that's a classic thing for men in general. And that's why men in the arena, my men's group is so important to me, and the communication I share with men is like, no one's going to put your pants on for you, but you don't have to do it alone. Like, you don't have to carry this weight alone.
So, for me, before I ask you this next question, I'll give you the example of like going to the gym is very easy.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also been doing it for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've been doing something that long, it's almost like a default now. When we finish today, I'm going to take the dog out to use the bathroom. I'm going to come back. I'm going to change my clothes, take a little pre-workout, and I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
But for people who are in there right now where you were at 22, what advice would you give them? To if they're having this debate of driving their car into the median versus changing, what does the beginning of that change look like now that you can look back on your own life in hindsight?
Yeah. My answer to this has just evolved so much, and it's tough to like. I think there's wisdom is important. You get wisdom through living life longer, and I reflect a lot. So the more that I reflect, the more I get to refine my own like beliefs around this. I think a few things. I mean, we have pillars for men in the arena that we embody that I'll speak to in a moment. But I think just the first thing is understanding that there's people around you that want to help. I didn't lean into that. I'm speaking of someone that absolutely did not lean into that whatsoever. But as I grow through life and as I continue to go through life, I know that relationships is the most important success metric that we will ever have. The amount of strong relationships that you have in your life is number one success metric. That's how I'm defining my life. Not money, status, job, any of those things, impact. It's the amount of strong relationships that I have. So that's number one. And if you don't have that, then there is, or if you don't have that directly within family, there's other options. There's other free options. You just have to be willing to take action to do that. And I think that's the other thing. And this is how I guess, help myself and how it's kind of shaped into the ideology of Men in the Arena is like, how can I challenge myself today? What is one arena that I can step into that scares me, that I don't want to face? And it doesn't matter how little or how big it is. Like, what is something that I can like face today, that I can challenge myself today? I think Eleanor Roosevelt has like a good quote around this. I can't remember exactly, but I think it's just like, do something that scares you every day, I think is what it is. Because I think in terms of the choice of that, like there's no right choice. It's just like a deeper calling. It's kind of the answer the call thing of like, oh, this is like something energetically or something that emotionally is pulling me towards this. Let me lean into it. Like, let me explore what that is. Even if it feels hard or challenging or uncomfortable, right? It's like you speaking to the people around your podcast. Like there was energy there that was like, oh, this is nerve wracking. But there's something there pulling me towards that. And I want to do that because that's what I feel is going to make me feel whole. So yeah, all in all, to reflect back, it's like relationships, number one. Find somebody, because there's people, it could be a random stranger on the street. Like people naturally want to help people. Yes, you want to have like, if it's not family, like ideally someone who's like trauma, like taught at some level to be able to process, but sometimes you just need someone to listen to so you can vent it out. Number two is find something to challenge yourself. Whether it is getting a gym membership, making that first choice. I think the biggest challenge as humans is like, and it's even tougher when you're so in the thick of the dark tunnel that you can't see the light, that the light is always going to come through, but we have to be willing to make a choice to lead towards the light and go towards the light. But that can seem so overwhelming and so challenging. So like, it's the classic, like we overthink, or the amount of things that we can accomplish in a day, we tend to overestimate versus like what we can accomplish over time. So it's like just pick something that's like small that you can just like, oh, got a small win, cool. That's why I love fitness, because it gave me a way to build better credibility with myself, because I was able to commit to something, because my entire life I wasn't committing to anything outside of, and I even had trauma there, like my wrestling days, because I kind of quit on myself in my senior year. That I needed something to commit to and show that I actually could be a person that could commit to something. So all in all, I don't have like a perfect like friend, because nothing's perfect. There's no like do this, do this, do this. Like everything is situational to what you have access to, but I still definitely lean on the relationship thing being first.
You recently went on stage for the first time to do an open mic, and you specifically did some rap poetry.
Yeah.
Was that scary for you
Uh
before you went on stage?
yeah, there was definitely there was nerves for sure. There was nerves. But I had already like said it so many times. I think there was more nerves because I was a minority for the first time in a long time, and I share that because like I felt judged because I wasn't a professional in my own internal world, and growing up, predominantly whites in Austin's predominantly whites, and I want to be exposed to different cultures and be around that, but that was just something that was new for me in terms of my nervous system. It was also new for me to like express myself in a new way. That's nerve wracking because it's vulnerable. Like when you're I think we're all artists, but when we choose to share something with the outside world that's like your own creation, like that's very vulnerable. So yeah, that was a little nerve. I mean, I felt awkward on stage. I like to move around, so there was just like I felt like a robot. I was like I like to be able to move around and be able to express my words a little bit better. So yeah, it was definitely nerve wracking.
Yeah. One thing I sometimes in life, I wait for a sign that I should or shouldn't do something before I do or don't do it. And by having this conversation with you, I think one thing that I'm going to do this year, I'm going to do my first open mic in a comedy setting.
Let's go.
I have a lot of friends in comedy. I hang out at Shakespeare's on Monday nights when Kill Tony's going on. I hang out with the comedians backstage instead of being in the audience, and people at this point are thinking like, is he a comedian? I'm like, I'm not. I just happen to have a lot of friends in comedy.
Yeah.
But they all want me, not they all, 3 or 4 of them have said multiple times, when are you going to do your first mic? You're a natural, and maybe you'll fuck it up, but that's part of the experience of doing your first one and your 10th one and your 20th one is finding your voice. And I think I'm going to do it, man.
Let's go.
I think it would be fun. So.
I can see it. I mean, you have a great like your voice projects very well, one. And I think naturally what I've gathered so far is like you lean towards like comedic like level of energy and comfortability, and I think you'll be a natural.
I appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. Well, before I ask you my last few questions, I want to play you something, and give me a second to pull it up here. Before I play this for you, let's take 2 deep breaths together.
What's up, Bray? This week feels so serendipitous in terms of you being on a podcast with David, where he allows an incredible message and connection between 2 friends. I am so grateful and honored to be able to send you this as I sit here thinking about obituary, but through a positive connotation, because we don't get enough moments in time to be able to send a message displaying the significance of the people that make a lot of impact in our lives. One, I love you, and I had to think around if I had to write one-liner about Brayden, what comes up? The one that really came to heart with me was Bray is a meaning maker. I feel that you give moments, people, and experiences meaning. That is one of the most incredible qualities about you. You want to realize as an individual and as a collective that there's a deeper reason we're doing something. And if it feels like we're misaligned, you want to bring that person back towards meaning. And as I kept reusing that word meaning it had me thinking, what actually is meaning? So I just looked it up. Perplexity tells me that there's three connected ways to look at it. One, it's what a word, sign, or symbol stands for. Bray, you stand for truth. You're a man who speaks your truth, and you're a man who makes others want to stand in theirs. Two, it's what someone intends to communicate. What you intend to communicate is that no one should sit with their struggle alone. You never let people stay quiet when something's weighing on them. Three, it's the importance or purpose something holds. And I think the purpose you've made yours is ensuring that no one's light goes dark and it shines brightest. Shine bright like a diamond. Man, I love you. You're a meaning maker, and I'm so proud to call you my brother. Keep crushing.
My man, this is fun. Meaning maker. Okay. Damn, man. This is super cool.
Fuck yeah.
I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you too.
This is wild. Damn. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is mine?
Yes. Oh, I'm not keeping
You sure?
Yeah. I can print another one if I really want it. What did that mean to you to hear from a very close friend and brother of yours? Because sometimes, we have these thoughts about who we are. And then we, like he mentioned, he gets to share something with you that he doesn't necessarily all have the opportunity to. So
For
as
sure.
you heard him say these things about you, what does this mean to you?
It means a ton. I mean, me and him, we are currently navigating just like some I'm gonna call it friction, because I'm very serendipitous, and that's his favorite word is serendipitous. In the sense of like people come into your life for a reason, and the 30-day road trip that I spoke to earlier, that was with him. It was just me and him. And I barely even like knew him that much. I just knew this was a choice I needed to make, and it was his birthday this week. It's his birthday week, and I got to share some of the stuff like this in terms of what he's done for me, and it means a lot because we are brothers, and we are around each other so much that like brothers can create a lot of friction. And we're both like navigating right now where we're trying to be more intentional of like supporting each other's dreams and missions. We do, but in terms of like energetically, but not as action based. I'm sharing all this because there's, no relationship is perfect, and it takes work, and it takes intentionality. It takes meaning as a meaning maker. That's a sick. But it's important. And it's just funny because like the trigger that I shared earlier was around like the opposite of this.
Yeah.
So it's definitely very in alignment, and I really appreciate this, man. It means a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
That was cool to listen to it, and
Thank you in kind for being here and for everything that you shared and are sharing.
yeah.
He told me something. His favorite quote of yours. Or maybe it's not yours. Maybe you heard it somewhere else, so you can correct me in a second. A human soul on fire is the most powerful weapon on earth. I feel like you have reached a place in life where your soul is on fire. I know I have found a place in my life where my soul is on fire. And since that has happened, I have never been happier.
Yeah.
It helps me in my decision-making process. It helps me determine how I want to navigate these conversations. It makes me work harder in the gym. It has this ripple effect. Even sometimes when I go to snap at Thad because he's doing something that's annoying me, I've caught myself taking a breath, and I'm like, just wait. Don't snap at this poor little innocent dog that's just trying to show you love and affection right now in a somewhat overwhelming way.
Yeah.
If we could... If more human souls could be ignited, where do you think we could take this journey we call life?
Yeah, I think what comes up for me, the analogy I'll give is like squeezing all the juices out of life. Like if the world, our soul, was a orange or whatever fruit you want to use that has juice, and you're able to like go to the end of your day and like feel like you got it all the way down to the bone, or you got it all the way down to the last juice. That's what comes up for me initially, and why that's important is like I just want to feel like all the things and feel connected. And I think I believe in God, but I believe even more that we're just energy. And I think when we're in a place where everyone's able to be the most magnetic, abundant version of themselves, like life is just like insane. Like there's not this. It's the darkness in the world, the evils in the world, the demons don't. There's so much light that they don't have a place in this world. That's how I think, and we're constantly battling that every single day. Life is a battle because we're all navigating what we're navigating internally, and I think the more that we just allow, and this is why I like my older, wiser self in terms of my own mental health journey. When I was 22, if I would have really reached for people that wanted to support me, I would have been able to navigate that a lot better. And I think that is what I am going to constantly do my best as a community builder and bringing people together and constantly communicating, speaking to podcasts, different events to continue to magnify why this is important, because it is easy, as we've shared in this episode, to do other things, but it's also easy just to hold everything in and not be the light that's in all of us. I believe we all have a light, we all have a superpower, we all have a gift. You've seen it throughout mythology, throughout time. Logos is a Greek mythology term that is literally that we all have this superpower inside of us. My workout this morning, what we break down every single time, is 3, 2, 1, power up, because I want people to step into that superpower that they have and like be the superhero that they can be, and to live in a place where we're all in our gifts and we're all sharing, we're all communicating, we're all loving, and that world doesn't have wars. It doesn't have like world peace is just there. And like I have this conversation a lot with these people that war is just is something that's going to happen. There's going to be conflict. And like, because history says that, I'm like, I don't live in that world. Like, yes, I could be delusional. I don't really care. But the world that I see and what we're speaking to right now is what gives me peace and joy and gives me fire to my soul to try to push towards. Because the 7 deadly sins are always trying to battle us and pull us out of our higher self, which creates the problems of the world. Because I believe every war, every conflict is coming from a place of lack of love for self, and that portrays to lack of love for others, because we're judging, we're projecting, we're not seeking to understand, we're not allowing curiosity to come into place, and we're coming from a place of hurt, and then hurt people, and then we just have wars. So to come full circle to your question is just, yeah, being able to squeeze the juices out of life and feel that you are so well connected to self, and that gets portrayed in how you allow connections into your life. And I think from that place, like, life gets so easy.
Yesh? How do you pronounce his name?
Like hush, but Yush.
Almost like it's a USH, even though that's not how it's spelled. Okay,
Yeah.
Yesh.
So funny story, though. He moved here as an immigrant when he was 6, and people couldn't say his name correctly, so he accepted Yash. When I met him, he introduced himself as Yash. It wasn't until 2 years ago he made like a public announcement that, hey, my name is Yush. And there's still some people that pronounce it Yash from our past, but like, yeah, it just shows you, immigrant, fit in, like, okay, this accept. And yeah, I was proud of the fact that like I didn't know, like I didn't knew him for like 2 years at that time. Like, okay, cool, Yash, easy.
Very easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it based off the spelling, but it's easy enough to say. Yash.
Yeah.
Yesh told me something really interesting about you. I was not familiar with the concept of human design, and when he first asked me, he was like, Do you know what this is?" And I was like, "Sure." I thought it was like a very generic thing, but he told me it's actually very specific, and that you are a reflector, which, according to one of the human design websites that I ventured on, is about 1% of human, so it's pretty unique. Is this true?
Yeah. It gives me a lot of truth as well in terms of my human experience. The idea is, and it's kind of the idea that we're energy. We have, people have heard of chakras, right? Like through yoga and like the spiritual community. And the idea is that we have these portals inside of us. And I think there's 4 or 5 different human designs. And based off, like, I guess to back up, like
Yep.
when you experience life and when you meet new people, like you can feel energy, right? You can feel like, oh, like the body, like this feels good for my nervous system, or this feels good energetically, and like this conversation's flowing. Versus sometimes there's just like there's friction, like things are forced. Like people experience in dating as well. Like dating's a great example. Be like, oh, this is way too hard. Like why are we working so hard at this? There's something just energetically that we're just not in synchronicity on, and it creates friction. Doesn't mean you can't grow through that and get through that, but I'm just sharing as like a reference point.
Yep.
um, for myself, all my portals are always open. And how I guess, give value to this and experience my own, like, being like bipolar tendencies makes sense for me because I am so sensitive to energy that it's easy for me to get consumed by the chaos because that's why my brand that I'm building called Modern Warrior, it's going to be a tattoo, a Spartan, and like battle ready fit, but he's gonna be meditating because if I don't meditate and find my groundedness and centeredness, then I will get consumed by the chaos, and that is some of the self-sabotage tendencies that I gave previously. But yeah, my energy portals are always open, so I'm just very sensitive to environments, and like this is why the relationship with family, like needing to escape once I got 16, to it just gave me a lot of meaning to how energetically I show up in the world. I can be very like protective. I can be very open. I have to set clear boundaries, and this is all evolution of me as a community builder that wants to show up and bring people together, but also need time for myself and solitude to recharge, is how I call it, and be able to instill more tools, resets, breath work, walks, no technology to help get myself back in center because I can feel, because I've gone through this life experience a lot more, that I can feel the tendency, and I burn out 10 plus times very severely to where I literally can't work out. My body just shuts down. And I know that world. And I'm cool. I'm someone who wants to explore edges and learn myself, and I learn by doing. And it's just it's given me language and understanding to like be more intentional with how I give my energy away.
Yeah, you and me share that in common. Where a day like today started off the morning very slow. We went for a walk slightly longer than a mile. You and me are doing this now. After this, I'm going to go to the gym. I like afternoon workouts, have a meal on me. I've usually drained my water bottle at least one time, so I can't do the 8:30 morning lifts.
Yeah.
I'm envious of people like you. But I know I'll see some friends at the gym, have a few micro conversations with them in between sets, and I know for a fact by like 5 to 6 p.m. today, my social battery will be at 0. And I will not want to say a word for the rest of the night.
For
And it's
sure.
not a bad thing, right? It's not because I'm in a bad mood or I had a bad day. I just can tell, like, I can bring the energy to a certain extent, but that evening of being able to just watch an episode or two of The Pit, go on another
That's
walk
good.
with Thad, have a nice homemade meal, some meat, some carbs. I'm obsessed with green grapes right now, so I'll pop some grapes while I'm cooking. I just need that alone time at night where it's just me and the dog, and the only noise is coming from the TV.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Balance is important.
Hold up your left hand for me real quick. I'm probably going to butcher this. Lead con amor.
Yeah. It's Spanglish, but it says lead with love.
Ah. Why?
Yeah. Similar to your question of just like the world of being united. Love it to me isn't like love to me is a frequency, and that frequency starts with love for yourself, and that gets portrayed outwards. And this is just a constant reminder for myself when I'm in the thick of it. That as long as I show up in this, I'm actually about to get another tattoo this week. It's a heart that has wings, and that's kind of like the more trust and leading with love. This is just like a straight, direct statement, and it's in Spanglish because leadar, which is like lead in Spanish, it doesn't really translate well in Spanish. And I wanted to fit on my hand, and I will be fluent in Spanish one day. I love Spanish. I love Latin-based language. But that's besides the point. Lead with love is just like a direct reminder to everything's gonna be all right if I'm doing that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Is there any particular arena that you know you need to step into in the next week, month, year that you're a little bit intimidated to step into?
Yeah, the cool thing about my journey of stepping into the arena a lot, that I don't have any fear around anything related to fitness. Like, it can be the most daunting thing ever. There's no fear that surfaces for me when it comes to that. Now it comes into the other arenas that I'm facing professionally, and like speaking, I know I'm going to speak on larger and larger stages, and there's going to be feelings but there's nothing holding me back from stepping into that. I think right now, because I'm navigating just new business models, new roles, that my fear is just like, I guess, a lack of understanding of the landscape of I'm working towards building an agency for keeping the story short, around bridging capital to culture and getting the money out in the world into the people who are building community, and to be able to storytell and like drive meaning things that matter, and less just like eyeballs, views, things that don't matter through the social media landscape. And yeah, there's a little fear of just not quite knowing where, how to navigate those conversations, and how I'm setting myself up to get paid and develop the business model, because I don't know the model, because I'm creating a new model, and I have fear that I don't have the abilities to do that. I'm still going forward no matter what, but those are things that come up.
Well, maybe you'll stumble a few times, and through those
I'm going to
stumblings,
stumble
you'll
for
figure
sure.
out the solution. I find that's how this podcast got to where it is today. A lot of bad episodes.
For sure.
Not because of the guests, if you happen to be listening. It's because I didn't know what this was going to be yet. So we had to pivot and zig and zag to figure things out.
For sure.
There was a couple reels on your Instagram page where you would have this montage of pictures and videos. And there is one in particular where I thought I printed a screenshot of it, but I guess I didn't, because we went through the entire stack and it's not in there. But you're on a grassy field, and there's 2 aisles of men, and you're walking down the middle of them. Do you know what I'm referencing?
It's an AI image, yeah.
Oh, it is?
It's an AI image.
That didn't actually happen?
No.
Why did you create this?
That's kind of the men in the arena, modern warrior. I believe that we are designed to be warriors as men, and protectors, providers, and that if we're not tapping into that like primal instinct energy, that we're slowly just not being a man, like, for lack of a better word. So that to me is just like it's just honestly just a badass image I really like.
It is.
And it's me just trying to. That's how I see myself lead. Like, I'm leading, going first. Like, I will, and that's how I am as a leader across the board. Like, especially with different workout stuff. It's like, there's nothing. I've been eating dirt for a long time as a creator, as a leader, as a man trying to find who he was, and I've been willing to live close to the poverty line to find who I am, so I can body that to the highest of my ability versus chasing any specific dollar sign. And I share that because, like, I will go in first to the fight, and hopefully some other people come with me, and that gives them the courage and strength. Like, I'm willing to live and die in the arena. I'll give you an example. Like, here recently, I'll just give one. I was in Phoenix, and I was walking with 3 of my friends. We were for High Rocks, and I saw these 2 big dogs. Like it was probably like 400 meters away, and I saw this other girl walking with a dog. My thought immediately, like, I bam, hit, like, another friend ended up following me, but I was like, immediately, bam, thought, I'm going to go make sure that she's okay. Like, I like, that to me is just, that's common sense for me, because that's like the standards I set for myself, is I want to be the person that leads that, because we're all operating. Oh, it's kind of they'll be all right. Like we're just like negotiating with ourselves. Like, oh, this is inconvenience. Like, oh, like that's a big dog. Like there's all these different thoughts. Like, and everything ended up being okay. But I'm glad that I made that choice. That's just like one like little example that came up. So that's kind of the image that you asked is like, I'm willing to go into the fire. I'm not scared of it. And I want to, and it's really like the fire, the soul, all that stuff is just really just going into a place where you get to embody the person that you want to be. You don't do that by sitting on the couch. You don't do that by sitting on the sidelines. You don't do that by not challenging yourself. And I'm not here to judge, not here to do any of those things, but I am here to create awareness, environments, challenges, opportunities for people to step into that.
Yeah. One of the coolest things about starting this podcast, and I thought of it because of the example you just said, is all the ripple effect of non-podcast related things that have happened as a result of this. For example, a different young man came up to me in the gym recently and asked me a question about how to navigate something that he was dealing with in his relationship. And I don't even think he tunes into the podcast, but he's seen like a few reels on Instagram. And for whatever reason, he sees me as a person that he could trust to ask this question about. That means a lot to him. Also, about like 2 weeks ago, I was grateful to be a character witness for an anonymous tip that the police had received, and I got to have someone's back in a situation that could have been very negative. But it's one of those things, like, you don't wake up one day thinking like, oh, I hope I could be a character witness on behalf of a friend one day, but they found out about me because of the podcast and how him and I met, and they wanted to talk to me. And so I bring all this up just to say to the audience that myself and Bray, we've had all these experiences where it's like, well, maybe you don't wake up and think, I hope I can potentially defend someone in a situation today, but you've had these opportunities now that have come as sort of a side result of living the life that you lived, and it's just so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So whatever your thing is, start today. What's holding you back? You can make some sort of action today, whether it's journaling about it or talking with someone about it or Googling how can I get the money to start A, B, and C, or maybe you're a musician who wants to get your first song out there, but you don't know how to upload a song to Spotify. What's holding you back? Google how to upload a song to Spotify and get started.
AI's got all those answers too.
Yes, it does. Yes. What's the one that Yash said he's on?
Claude.
No, he mentioned the one that starts with a P. Proclivity?
Oh, Perplexity.
Perplexity. I haven't been on that one yet.
Yeah, but he's a Claude.
He's a Claude guy.
Yeah. Perplexity is just it's like a Google, but for AI. It's in terms of like its functionality.
Before I ask you my final question, is there any rabbit holes that you were hoping that we would dive into today that neither of us has brought up yet?
No, I try not to live life with expectations. As I was, sharing earlier, you asked a question of like a time. Like my mind was like, I'm just here. I don't know.
We're kicking it. We're just hanging out.
Yeah.
If life was a movie, if your life was a movie, what would the audience be screaming at the screen for you to be doing differently right now?
That's a cool question.
Call your brother. What did you hear that? What? I'm sorry.
Well, that was the first thing. That was the first thing. But I guess if it's straight from this podcast, that's the first thing is connecting with my brothers. I think, but within that, I guess that follow up was just like having more love and grace for myself because I put a lot of pressure on everything. But yeah, that's yeah.
Bray, it's funny. We live in Austin, Texas. It's a beautiful day outside. I think you and me both have friends and family and people that love us and we love them. We're living a cool life, but at the same time, there's also people who are, struggling quite a bit right now. And when I meet people like you who are building communities and who are, let me see that real quick, people who are meaning makers, as Yesh said, you give me hope. You give me hope that as we navigate whatever situation it is right now, we're all going to be okay. We're going to get through it. And if you can, like I referenced earlier, Mel Robbins, sometimes when she has to make a hard choice, she'll count down from 5 first. And, to the audience, whatever you're dealing with today, whether it's loss, loneliness, not knowing what your meaning is, reach out to Bray or follow his Instagram, because I think that he's a shining example of how you can start to walk into how you make meaning and what your purpose is. So I just want to give you a huge thank you, man. I believe in you. I have your back. I support you, and you give me hope that everyone can get their soul lit on fire as well.
Let's go. I appreciate you, David. Appreciate that reflection too.
Yeah. To the audience, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor that takes none of your money and only about 3 seconds of your time. Hit that follow button on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening today. And if you do that small favor for me, my commitment to you is that every Saturday we'll bring you stories that will light your internal fire. And by hitting that subscribe button, you're sort of partnering with us in a way to light souls on fire across this planet. And Bray did his job. He showed up and told his story. I hosted the podcast, but we don't know who needs to hear this episode, and the only way they're going to find it is if you take this small action. So please do this for us. In the meantime, I hope that you stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll see you guys next Saturday for another episode of David Saturday Night Sit Back. Bye, everyone.
Let's go.